So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, welcome in, and let's begin our practice with a recap of the articulations of the ankles. So we have four primary articulations of the ankles: dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, inversion, and eversion. Please take your feet out in front. Okay, with your legs out in front, you can simply dorsiflex your ankle joints. That means pull the top of your foot back towards your shin. And when you do that, you should feel a muscle kind of just alongside, it says in front of because it's called anterior tibialis. Anterior is in front of, but I feel the tibia here, and then the only when I'm really activating do I feel the muscle kind of wrap over the bone, but really it's just to the side of the tibia here. However, it is called the tibialis anterior. And then we have the gastrocnemius and soleus. These are muscles of the calves, basically in the back here, that plantar flex the feet. So you can, what's really helpful is to actually feel the muscles as they engage. Now you don't have resistance, so the calf muscles aren't going to be fully active, but you will feel some muscle toning underneath here. The gastrocnemius is a two-headed muscle. It's more superficial. It's more towards the surface. That means the soleus lies underneath it. It's a little more deep. Okay, then go back into dorsiflexion, feeling the tibialis anterior muscles, these muscles right along the shin here. Okay, then we have inversion, and inversion's going to be hard. So if you went to your tibia here, since we have a tibialis anterior in front of, there's also a tibialis posterior behind. So if you take your hand, your fingers here alongside the shin bone and just try to go underneath it, which there's tons of muscle tissue there that it's not going to allow you to really get in. But if you actually place your fingers here along the edge, I think you can, maybe you can see that. Let me see if this is a better angle. So here's my tibia, and I'm on the soft tissue just on the other side of that tibia is where I'm pressing down. And then if I try to invert, meaning if I try to turn the sole of my foot up towards the sky like this, whoop, then you're gonna feel, I can even see it kind of pop out, the muscle here along the inside. And this is probably going to be the tibialis posterior that you're feeling when you do that. There's other muscles that invert the ankle, but tibialis posterior is a big one. Okay, and you can also see that there might be some tendons here that activate as well alongside the inner ankle. Okay, so we have inverting. You're going to feel those muscles alongside the inside of the shin or underneath it, really. And then we're going to do everting, and there's these muscles called some call them peroneus muscles, or more commonly in in recent times, what do you say for that? In modern days, more commonly of late, we have something called the fibularis muscle group. Okay, because they're the ones that run along the fibularis, which is you have the tibia and the fibula, right? So the fibula has muscles, these three muscles that run alongside of it, and they will wrap underneath, causing eversion of the ankle. Now, when I first started, okay, cool. When I first started, trying to evert the ankles was not even possible. I couldn't get out of this inverted state. My feet were kind of like stuck in this position. So you might be in that same boat if your feet are kind of chronically turned in towards each other here, trying to evert the ankles. Probably not going to happen. You might have to actually use your hand to turn the sole of the foot out here. And really, the fibularis muscles that run alongside, they grab underneath here, they grab alongside the foot, and they pull the foot towards the shin. So you can actually do that, like if the muscles are asleep, you can use your hand to do that same action. The toes will turn out slightly, and the outer edge of the foot will pull towards the shin. And some of you, when you do that, you'll actually be able to feel the activation or even maybe see these muscles along the outer shin called the fibularis muscle group, okay, or the peroneus muscles. So let's just go through as a warm-up: plantar flex, dorsiflex, plantar flex, dorsiflex, invert, evert, invert, evert, invert, evert, invert, evert. Now, we can dorsiflex, invert, and evert, which is what we've been doing. And the hard one, you can plantar flex, invert. So this is a plantar flexed foot with an inverted ankle. Okay, or maybe this one's easier to see. Inverted ankle. Ooh, gives me a little cramp. And then you can evert, which is like turning the toes out, trying to shorten the distance here while plantar flexed. And you might get like me, I got a little cramp there when you do that. But you'll be able to see that when you evert and plantar flex, you'll be able to get your ankle bones together more. And if you invert and plantar flex, you'll be left with a big space between your ankle bones, something like this. It'll look like, here, can you see that? It'll look like you can't get your ankle bones together. And that's not because your structure or, some anatomy that doesn't allow you. It's just literally that your feet are inverted, so you just can't get your ankles together because they're stopping you. Eventually, you'll learn how to evert the ankle, okay? Which means the big toe is just gonna be a big extension of the inside of your leg, and the toes will turn out, and you'll feel these muscles activate. And then you'll have from there, you can internally rotate, and you'll have the greatest ability to bring the ankle bones together. Of course, once you've done that, and you've got these muscles strong, and you're able to internally rotate, some people just can't get the ankle bones together. But more often than not, I find that most people think they can't get their ankle bones together in a position like this, and it's actually that they just don't have the strength yet developed of the everting muscles, and so therefore they can't get the ankle bones together because of lack of strength, not because of lack of joint mobility or something like this. Okay, so what you can do is you can place your feet flexed together. If you can get your ankle bones together with your feet flexed, then you're definitely going to be able to get your ankle bones together with feet pointed. It's just going to take time of developing strength of these muscles. I'm a little out of practice, so every time I do it, I'm cramping. All right, let's come to stand up and begin our practice together. All right, so standing up at the top of your yoga mat. And we'll do the same exercise. Today, a little bit different, but we'll start with dorsiflexion, plantar flexion. So dorsiflexion, plantar flexion. Dorsiflexion, plantar flexion. Okay, you're gonna try to go all the way up. So when you go to, it's hard to pause and talk. When you go to plantar flexion, try to really go all the way up. Extend as much as you can through the ankle joint. Okay, dorsiflexion, plantar flexion. Some of you will be able to go all the way up on your tippy toes. I'm not sure if you can see that, but instead of going on just the ball mounds of your feet, with momentum, you're able to, some of you will be able to get up all the way to the tippy toes. Now that takes a little bit of strength and of course, toe stability that not everyone's gonna have. But I like to do that. Okay. Now, we're gonna do inversion, eversion. Evert and let the knees knock in. Invert, the knees will go out. Evert, invert. Very steady. I feel like I'm dancing. My wife is actually in this practice, so she's probably laughing at me right now. Like, what are you doing with your hands? Okay, now the hard part, the one that I want to add on, is getting up into plantar flexion and everting the ankles. So start with dorsiflexed feet and everted ankles so you get your ankle bones the best you can to touch. Okay, most of you can do this here. Now it's just a matter of keeping the everted ankle while you lift the heels up off the ground. And you're gonna notice that almost every one of you that are gonna try this, your ankles are gonna start to splay out as soon as you come up into plantar flexion. See if you can keep them together as you go up and back down. So ankle bones together. It helps to turn your legs in a little bit, but you really wanna keep the ankle bones together by everting the ankles. So if you forget, go into dorsiflexion and pick up the outer edges of the feet. Keep that, fan your pinky toes out, and keep the ankle bones together as you come up. Now the majority of the pressure is gonna be in the big toes and big toe mounds when you come up, but ankle bones together, and this will force you to learn how to evert your ankles and strengthen the fibularis muscle group here if you try to keep the ankle bones together as you come up. Okay, and for many of you, if you struggle with being on your tippy toes, learning how to do this will help you stabilize that, stabilize your ankle joints. But it'll strengthen these outer ankle muscles, these fibularis muscles, the peroneus muscles, whatever you want to call them. And that is ultimately the goal here, because most of us, our instabilities happen when we roll our ankle out, sprain our ankles, and so on. All right, so that should be fairly strengthening here. I just want to say real quick, a few people just popped in. Hey Amalia, hey Lenore, hey Fa, nice to see you. Hey Kristen, hey Sabui, hey Pat, welcome in. All right, so today we're going to be doing some stuff up on toe mounds, but without the ankles rolling out like this. We want our ankles rolling in. So some of you, it's just going to be more accessible if your feet are together. So let's start with feet together. And with feet together, lift your toes up. And just to remind ourselves, pick the front of the foot up a bunch of times. So rotate back and forth, left and right. And this is going to be shin muscles, the tibialis anterior muscle in particular, okay? And this is going to increase the strength at the front of the ankle joint, stabilizing the front of the ankle. We want to develop stabilization all around the circumference of the ankle joints. So strength, awareness, and the ability to use these muscles, okay? And as you're doing this, hopefully you start to feel these front shin muscles get tired. And the reason why you want that is because you want to actually be able to sensationally feel what it's like to activate these muscles. So if I later on say, hey, activate your tibialis anterior, it's not an esoteric idea, but you actually start to feel, oh, I know where that is, and I can engage it. It's like I'm trying to pull up the front of my foot, like I'm trying to dorsiflex my foot more, even if your feet are on the ground. So right here, place both feet on the ground and pretend like you're gonna lift up the front of your foot. It helps to lift your toes up. Pretend like you're gonna dorsiflex your foot, but don't actually do so. And what would happen is an isometric engagement of the tibialis would activate. Now everybody has the capability of isometrically like saying, you know, activate my bicep or activate my abdominals. Most of us can isometrically engage muscles like that, where we've like showed people before, right? But when it comes to tibialis anterior, we're like at a loss. We don't know how to activate that muscle unless we're thinking of an action. So we want to bring awareness to the thought of an action without taking it. So that would create a muscle engagement without movement. So can you now, with your feet on the ground, think about dorsiflexing your feet? It'll help again to lift your toes up. Think about dorsiflexing more without actually lifting the ball mounds of your feet up. Then some of you might be able to softly rest the toes back on the ground without losing the activation at the front of the shins. Others, you will have to keep the toes lifted to keep the fronts of the shins active, okay? I find it helps to fan the toes out and just think about big toe and pinky toe pressing into the ground and keeping the middle three toes lifted. All right, that's enough of the preliminary work for now. Tadasana with feet together. Do the best you can to keep the fronts of your shins active, tibialis anterior active, the extensors of the toes active, like you're trying to lift them up. Maybe big toe and pinky toe can stay down if you can. That's awesome. Some of you, that'll be a struggle. Inhale, reach the arms up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, bow to the earth, Uttanasana, forward fold. Half lift on the in-breath. Step the left foot back, exhale. Let's take a breath in. Exhale it out. Now, some of you have been trained to relax the back heel. Lift it up to the height of the, just so it's like about vertical. A little less than vertical is fine. So your calf muscles in the back are active. Lift the front toes up for now. And imagine it's like you're trying to pull, and let's do that. Let's just lift the front of the foot up. So dorsiflex the ankle joint here. And while it's dorsiflexed, you might as well target the glute muscles. Press through your front heel so your upper back rounds. Okay, now don't make it easy on yourself, but slowly bring the foot back to the ground, but still trying to think about lifting the front of the foot up.
So the shin muscle isometrically activates. Now, not everyone here is going to be able to do that just because I said it, right? Just because I told you to do it doesn't mean it's going to be accessible. There has to be that neurological pathway that develops in your body for it to happen, from thought to nervous system energy sent down through the nervous system into the muscle and saying, hey, activate. That takes time. So you just have to think about it a lot first. Just think about this muscle trying to do this. And if you can't, then I find repeating dorsiflexion over and over again until you feel the sensation of that muscle will teach you how to activate it in your body. Eventually, without doing it, you just imagine yourself doing it. So you imagine pulling up the front of the foot. Now, big toe presses into the ground, pinky toe presses into the ground, and other 3 toes try to stay lifted. Here's the close-up of that. So big toe, pinky toe, other 3 toes lifted, so the front of the shin is active. Then together, let's step forward, half lift, inhale. Exhale, right foot back. Same thing, back heel lifted, so gastrocnemius of the back leg and soleus, the calf muscles. Okay, and then the front foot, lift the front of the foot a few times and try to feel the tibialis anterior muscle, the shin muscle here, activating. Once you feel the strength of it, let's keep the foot dorsiflexed for now, so a big flex of the ankle, and find our left glutes. The way you do this is you tuck your sit bone a little bit and press through the heel. It's a rounding of the spine to start. Now, very slowly place the ball mounds of the foot back on the ground, but keep the front of your shin active. Fan your pinky toe out, press it to the ground. Fan your big toe out, or in, I should say, and press it to the ground. So the big toe and pinky toe are widening away from one another. And as they do that, you create like a little space in these 3 toes here the best you can. These share a tendon, so they're hard to separate. You might find that really challenging. Just do your best. Okay, now let's hold, take a full breath in. Exhale it out. What we're going to do now is on the inhale, we're going to hop and switch. Inhale, prepare. On the exhale to hop, switch sides. Okay. Now, lift your toes up in the front foot. Let's get that as quickly as we can. Activate tibialis anterior, then press big toe and pinky toe down. Root through your right heel and place your hands to the front thigh. Back quads fully active. Front heel presses down from the strength of your buttocks. Hopefully that'll also take the weight off of the front foot, allowing you to get the tibialis to activate as well. Okay, as you activate your front heel pressing down, just take your fingertips together like so. I'll show you the side angle so you see I'm in like a power lunge position here. Holding this, take a full breath in. Full breath out. I'm not collapsed on my front thigh either, right? You see my torso is one long diagonal, making this fairly challenging on my right glutes. Right sit bone tucks underneath, press through the heel. Big toe, pinky toe, press into the ground. And then take the fingertips to the ground as you exhale. Now dorsiflex the front foot, straighten the best you can through the front leg. You might use blocks under your hands like so. That'll lift your chest a little higher. Let's take a couple more breaths, keeping your foot dorsiflexed. One more breath. And bend the knee. If you have blocks, move them aside. Prepare yourself as you inhale, round your back. Hop or step switch sides. Okay. Let's get connected to our foundation. Push into your feet and place the hands on the front thigh. Same thing, diagonal with the torso. Lift your toes up. Some of you might have to remind yourself what it feels like to dorsiflex the ankle, so you pull the whole foot up. It's very hard in a lunge position like this. Okay, then keep the ball mounds of the front foot down, but think about it pulling up. You could also see, I don't know if you can tell from that angle, you'll see the definition of my fibularis muscle group along the outer shin here is active. Because I'm not just kind of existing in this position. I'm isolating or isometrically activating all the muscles surrounding the ankle. We'll get there. But for now, try to think about pulling the front of the foot up so your front of your shin is active. Then press your big toe down and big toe mound down. That will help to evert the ankle. It'll rotate so that the outer edge of the foot gets light and these fibularis muscles will activate. To contrast that, press the pinky toe and pinky toe mound down. That will get tibialis posterior, the muscle on the inside of your shin, to activate, stabilizing there. Now, keeping the circumference so far of your ankle. By the way, I should mention just one more thing. When your big toe and pinky toe press down, that's also going to start to activate the back of your calf muscles. Okay, so we're getting all 4 quadrants of the ankle active. Fingertips together. We take a full breath in, full breath out. One more inhalation since we've been here for a while. Fingertips down. Flex the front foot, option to grab your blocks. And we just stay lifted with the tibialis anterior fully engaged, meaning dorsiflexed in the ankle. Okay, bend the front knee. This time we're going to step back, downward facing dog, and place your knees to the ground. A brief reprieve. We're going to remind ourselves of our hands from the last class. Your thumb and pinky press down into the ground as if there's an imaginary point below the hand that they're trying to press down into, and that will create the suction right at the carpal tunnels. Okay, so thumb and pinky press down into the ground. Press down into your metacarpals. That's the front of your hand where the fingers meet the hand, okay? The heads of the metacarpals. Keeping that pressed down. Now your middle 3 fingers dig into the earth and kind of even drag a little back towards the hand. Okay, so there's an energy coming into the center of the palm. Now with that, move your hips back a little further. Fingers really firm and active, and see if you can just kind of lift the heel of the hand slightly up off the ground. For many of you, that's going to be enough. Just thinking about almost like a little breeze underneath the heel of the hand, like you can slide a credit card right underneath, or a feather, or whatever you want to think about. Okay, just a little lightness at the heel of the hand. Now, if you can, you go back further and you keep the lightness at the heel of the hand as you go up in a down dog. Many of you are going to feel like your shoulders climb up towards the ears. That's actually good. You've forced yourself into good shoulder alignment by trying to keep the heel of the hand lifted. Some of you have been taught to relax the shoulders to the ear or away from the ears. This is just false biomechanics. It doesn't actually work. It's not appropriate for the shoulders. So shoulders up towards the ears whenever your arms are overhead. Heel of the hand trying to lift. Take one more breath. Come forward to plank. Lower the knees, lower the torso down. Let's warm up the back muscles, lift the heart. Exhale. Now lift just your right leg up off the ground, and I'm pressing my left knee down into the ground, so you can see my left hip pops up a little bit here, because I'm not just relaxing, I'm pulling my left knee towards my torso. Okay, switch sides. While we're at it, plantar flex the foot that's behind it that we're lifting. Okay, and if you could think about it, try to evert the foot. It's very hard if you can't see it. Okay, now I'm going to lift both feet up off the ground, plantar flexed for today, and then lift your chest up off the ground. Potentially you might lift the hands up, take a full breath in, and release. All fours. Tuck the toes, down dog. Heel of the hand gets light by pressing the the thumb and the pinky into the ground. Now, while we're here, your thumb and pinky press down. Let's lift the toes up. Look at your toes. And then press your big toe and pinky toe into the ground. So your thumb and pinky and your hands are pressing down. Big toe and pinky toe are pressing down in your feet. The 3 middle toes are lifted and the 3 middle fingers are pressing. Heels of the hand and heels of the feet are lifting the best you can. Heels of the hand are obviously not going to be lifting up very high, if at all. So don't freak out if you're like the heel of my hand is pressing into the earth. No problem. Just try to get lighter by pressing into the metacarpals of the hand. The heels of the feet, on the other hand, should be lifted about an inch or so. A little buoyancy there. Let's walk the feet to the front of the yoga mat. Take an inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and bow. Hands to the hips, arch the back and rise all the way up. Bring your feet back together. Evert the ankles, so pull the outer edges of your feet up and pin the inner ankle bones together. Keeping that, you can fan your toes out so your pinky toes do touch the ground. Keeping the inner ankle bones together, try to plantar flex with inner ankle bones squeezing together. A lot of you, when you do this, you'll rotate your thighs out like this and your heels will pin together. Think about it being the front of your shins or the front of your ankles, not the heels. So the heels are actually apart when you get your ankle bones together, okay? And then come back down. Let's separate the feet, bend the knees, hands on the thighs. Move the hips back, toes lift up to start. Now, just to keep driving this home, dorsiflex one foot, dorsiflex the other, and I'd like us to just try to get the front of the shin muscles toned, the tibialis anterior, the extensors of the toes, okay? So now knees go back, and without actually lifting both ankles now, think about trying to lift the fronts of your feet up. So maybe the toe mounds get a little lighter. Now with that, press your big toe inward toward each other and down into the ground. Big toes inward toward each other, down to the ground. Pinky toe fans outward, wide, away from each other, away from the midline of the body, and presses down into the ground. And just acknowledge, maybe you're starting to feel your outer shins, maybe the inner shins, and maybe the front of the shins learning to activate. It might be a bit of a puzzle that keeps getting destroyed. You do one, then the other, then the other, then the other, and you keep losing one. It's normal, okay? Just keep working at it. That little bit of frustration you might feel is your system learning, and that's a normal thing to actually feel frustrated when you learn. That's your system taking on the information and processing it, reworking it, organizing, unorganizing what's not there, and throwing out what's not needed, okay? Let's take the fingertips to the ground, bow forward. Inhale, halfway lift. We'll step the left foot back. Inhale, rise to high lunge. Open up, warrior two. Okay, so just adjust your front heel bisects the back arch. And we worked a lot on the front foot last time, so we'll just revisit that for a second. Lift the front foot up, so dorsiflex as much as you can. And from your groins, move it back and press your outer right heel down, so the outer right heel, and then your pinky toe down. Now, you're gonna feel it's hard, but you're gonna try to reach the big toe mound to the ground and then the big toe. Okay, so big toe mound, then big toe. Really firm the big toe mound into the ground and even try to shorten the front of the foot or the inside of the foot. Pull the big toe mound towards your heel. Some of you be like, how do you do that? There's a muscle underneath here that connects the toe mound towards the heel, and you can actually activate that muscle, which would cause the arch of the foot to lift, okay? It's just a muscle like anything else that pulls the joints into what looks like an arch on the foot. Okay, you're gonna keep that. Take the arms out to the side, full breath in. Full breath out. Keep the arch of the front foot, reverse warrior. Exhale, hands to the ground. This time, pivot the back heel up, straighten through the front leg, look forward. Exhale and bow forward. We can keep the front foot pointed for now. Let's take a full breath in. Full breath out. One more, full breath in. Out. Bend the front knee. Step to down dog, fingers fully active. Inhale, plank. Lower chaturanga. Slide the hands and feet out a little wider, fingertips. Inhale, lift the front body. Now relax the middle back all the way towards the ground with your shoulders back, so you actually create the back bend. Slide the ribs forward, like press your heart to the front of the mat. Maybe lift up a little taller through the top of the head. Belly lifts up. Exhale, release. All fours, hands and knees. Tuck the toes, exhale, down dog. Right leg to the sky, inhale. Step forward. High lunge, rise, inhale. Warrior two. Reverse warrior. Side angle preparation, forearm to the thigh, hand to the hip. Okay, maybe we can get a little faster at the front foot. Lift the front of the foot up, pinky toe presses down, big toe and big toe mound press down and drag back. So you get this arch of the foot. Instead of collapsing the arch like I am doing right here, you're gonna actually try to form it by pulling this back. You can see that, right? Okay, once you get the arch of the foot formed to the best of your ability, now let's go to the back foot. See if you can form the arch in the back foot. And the way I do that is the same way I'm doing in the front. My big toe mound and my big toe pull back towards the inner heel. And fan the pinky toe of the back foot down into the ground so the outer edge presses down as well. Now slide your front fingertips to the inside of the foot, and any variation of the arms is welcomed. Your real primary focus right now is pressing the big toe of both feet down and dragging them back towards the heels. You can hear the Ujjayi breath, the steadiness. Even if I'm cueing you all this technical stuff, I can't actually breathe obviously because I'm talking, but you can be breathing the sound of Ujjayi, that whisper through the nose on the inhales and the exhales to keep the body energized, the mind calm. The rhythm of your heart stays slow if you continue your breath at a slow pace. All right, both hands to the ground. Pivot the back heel up. Step forward, half lift on the inhale. Exhale, bow. Bend the knees. Prepare for chair pose. Move the knees back. And by moving the knees back, you kind of force tibialis anterior to activate, otherwise you would fall back. Okay, so tibialis is what's gonna stop you from falling back. The feet stay on the ground, but your knees move back, okay? Now, you don't even have to think about it, you just move your knees back and the tibialis will activate if your knees are over your heels, it's just forced to. Okay, now, big toe, pinky toe press down and try to shorten your feet, make them smaller by pulling the feet, the fronts of the feet back towards the heels. Lift the chest. Let's take cactus arms, bend the elbows, pull the chest open. Reach the arms up and bow. Halfway lift on the inhale. Step the right foot back. Inhale, high lunge. Open up, warrior two. Hands to the hips, move the hips, groins back, stick your butt out a little bit, and work with dorsiflexion of the ankle. Now on the first side, we stayed a little while with the right leg forward. So we'll take the time to set up the left foot. Once you have the front of your shin active with dorsiflexion, you try to keep it active and slowly place the pinky toe and pinky toe mound down. But try to keep thinking about pulling the front of the shin up. Now press the big toe and big toe mound down into the ground. And again, try to shorten the distance from the front of the foot. Don't let it just like pancake and puddle out, but pull the front of the toe mounds and toes back to scrunch up your foot so you feel the muscles along the sole of the foot start to activate.
Many people have not learned how to activate those in their lifetime. Why? Because shoes do that for you, but right now we don't have shoes on, so let's learn how to do what shoes do for us and actually gain control of the muscles of our feet. Slide the left fingertips down. Oh, sorry, don't do that, just warrior two. I'm jumping ahead of myself. Let's take a full breath in and a full breath out. Reverse warrior, inhale. Exhale, hands to either side of the front foot. Pivot the back heel up, straighten through the front leg. And this time we bow forward. Just enjoy. Bend the front knee. Grip your fingers into the ground. Down dog. Inhale, plank. Chaturanga. Slide hands and feet wide. Inhale, lift. Soften. Middle back, forward and down. Pull the heart through like you're trying to press the chest to the front of the mat. Up through the top of the head. Exhale, release. All fours, hands and knees. Tuck toes, exhale, down dog. Pause, let's revisit. Continue breathing. Big toe, pinky toe into the ground, 3 middle toes lifted. For now, in down dog, keep the heels lifted up a little bit away from the ground. A lot of people try to really reach the heels to the ground. In this position here, it would be your shoulders that would get the heel to the ground. So in this case, it really doesn't serve us or our balance or the strength of our ankles to try to put the heels down on the ground. If anything, it just puts us into passive flexibility, which doesn't serve our balance. Passive flexibility is basically allowing gravity pull us down. It is falling. That's what passive flexibility is. It's just falling. So instead, we don't really want to develop that. We want actually a buoyancy in the heels. You can see I can kind of bounce the heels. And what that is, this bouncing, is the ability to activate your calf muscles. Soleus, gastrocnemius, the muscles along the backs of the legs are active, keeping me buoyant in down dog in this position. So instead of just letting gravity pull me down, falling in other words, I'm staying resistant, activating the muscles that keep me light. Left leg to the sky. Inhale. Step forward. High lunge, rise. Open warrior two. Reverse warrior. Side angle preparation. All right, let's move through the front leg a little faster. You can dorsiflex, pinky toe, then big toe and big toe mount. Scrunch the foot upward, inward. So pull the front of the foot towards the back of the foot. Oh, I lost the light, interestingly enough. Okay, look towards the back foot and scrunch the back foot up by pulling the big toe and big toe mound towards the heel. And fan and press your pinky toe out into the ground. A lot of times people overemphasize pressing the outer edge of the foot down because that's the one verbal cue that teachers have given them. And as a result, you might feel a strain in the outer ankle if you do that. So we do want the outer edge of the foot down. We do want the pinky toe down. But if you feel a strain in the outer ankle, the easiest solution, quick solution, is pull your feet toward each other. And that should start to release that strain if you pull your feet toward each other. There's more to it than that, but it's a good start. Left fingertips to the ground, the inside, potentially. Any variation here? Again, feet can pull toward each other, and the fronts of the feet pull towards the heels. So scrunching up the feet, activating the muscles along the sole of the foot. Big toe, pinky toe on both feet now. 3 little toes lifted if possible. Okay, both hands to the ground. Pivot the back heel up. Let's step forward, half lift. Exhale and bow. Bend the knees, hands on thighs. Come up, pause. I feel like I'm in a sauna right now. It's humid as can be. Okay,
Find the fronts of your shins. Now, we're gonna take feet together actually. Let's go feet together. We're gonna do outer ankles squeeze in, inner ankles touch, and lift the heels up. Keep the inner ankles squeezing and touching, and try to get the whole front of the foot forward. And you just take your arms out in front, squeezing the outer ankles together or inward so the inner ankles touch. Move your hips backward. You're gonna see that it's gonna feel like a real easeful to move your knees forward. Keep your knees back and squeeze your outer ankles in. Lift the gaze, lift the heart. Outer ankles squeeze in, inner ankles touch. One more breath. Now, can you slowly lower the heels as you stand up? Slowly lower the heels. Yes. Okay. Bring your right knee up towards your chest. And all you're gonna do is take the hands around the front of the ankle. Front of your shin. Now, with the balancing foot, which is your left foot, I'd like you to notice that probably a lot of your weight goes forward towards the front of your foot. Move your weight back a little bit until it's in the heel of your standing foot. So it feels like you're tipping your pelvis a little bit. Okay, as you move your weight back, you recruit the gluteus muscles, but it doesn't help you with balance just yet. Now you're gonna press your pinky toe and big toe into the ground, and even think about, as you press the big toe and pinky toe into the ground, think about stabilizing the outer and inner ankle, like just structurally, what's a good way of saying this? Hug the muscles to the bone. So it's like the muscles just squeeze the ankle into place, into stability. Okay, and then release. Now, I'm gonna say this real clearly because some of you are gonna be like, well, I actually feel less balanced. Right now, what we're doing is we're probably decreasing your ability to balance in the short term by focusing your attention on the musculature that surrounds the ankle. In the long term, that will increase your balance. So short term is going to probably be harder because instead of just keeping your eyes on one point and breathing and staying calm, which would increase your balance in the short term, you're actually trying to mentally activate new muscles, which in the short term is going to potentially, many of you are going to feel that you wibble wobble even more because your focus is trying to activate, trying to do something new, not on just surviving the pose. Okay, so I want to be clear that this is going to be a long-term increase of balance when we do things like this because eventually these muscles will be able to activate without you having to focus so hard. That's the goal. But at first, in order to activate something new, you have to focus. And if you're focusing your attention on activating a muscle, then part of your attention is lost on balance. Okay, so that's, just to be clear. Let me just check out why this went out over here. I don't know. Hello? Is it too hot maybe? I don't know. Huh. Sorry, y'all. Give me just one more second to see what is up with this. I don't know. All right, we'll just deal with it. Sorry, it's gonna be a little dark. Not sure what's happening. Can't imagine the light died, but maybe it did. Okay. So, back to where we were. I apologize for that. I don't know what's going on with that light. So, the right foot now is our standing foot. Left knee comes up. Place your hands in around your shin. And instead of doing what most of us do, which is leaning our weight forward and asking just our calf muscles to balance us, we're going to move our hips back. Pull your shoulders back to stay upright. You still can pick a point on the wall or something in front of you to focus your eyes so your eyes aren't having to constantly focus new things. But at the same time, as your weight goes back into your heel, hopefully that fires your glute muscles a little bit. It doesn't if you tucked and lean forward, but you have to lean your hips back. Then we want to find the inner and outer ankle stabilizing. So one way to do that is pressing into the big toe and big toe mound.
and pinky toe mound. Okay, pressing them firmly into the ground. Some of you will find it a lot easier if the 3 middle toes are also on the ground. That's totally cool. But that will mostly just help the calf muscles activate. It won't really do much for side to side. So see if you can get the big toe and pinky toe firmly into the ground, and you can now start to feel when the weight shifts to one or the other. So if you feel it shift to the pinky toe, see if you can shift it to the big toe. Big toe has a little bit more stability, by the way. If you keep, it's easier to keep the weight inward than it is to keep the weight outward. You'll be able to sustain more weight if you're pressing through the big toe, or more of the weight's in the big toe than if it is in the pinky toe. So I focused staying in the big toe, and the pinky toe is just a little micro adjustments. Okay, come on out. Well done. Continuing forward. Bend the knees, chair pose. Exhale, bow forward.
Halfway lift on the inhale. Step the left foot back. Place the hands on the front knee like the first pose we did, that diagonal. Okay, round the back and see if you can find your big toe and pinky toe of the right foot. Now press through your right heel. So instead of kind of lunging and leaning, push through your heel so you get lighter and lighter and lighter. And now take left tricep, right thigh for a twist. Okay, one thing that helps besides pressing big toe, pinky toe, and heel of the front foot into the ground is dragging your feet gently toward each other. Just a little bit of effort of pulling inward will help the whole body find where it's, find its ability to balance. Lengthen through the top of the head. Even if you turn your gaze, attempt, if you're turning your eyes to the side wall or something like this, attempt to still feel the weight in the big toe and toe mound of the right foot. The right heel is pressing down and dragging gently back towards the back heel. Let's do one more breath. Start to inhale to unwind. Take the right hand down to the inside of the right foot, turn the back heel down. Inhale, slide your hips back, lengthen the chest. Exhale, bend the elbows and bow. Let's enjoy 2 breaths here. All right, come on up. Now pivot the back heel up and crisscross the feet. So the back foot goes to the right, the front foot goes to the left, and you're crisscrossed in your legs. This will help stretch the outer IT band and the outer hamstrings of the right leg. Actually, here's a really good opportunity for us to just acknowledge the front foot. If you invert the front foot, you'll see the ankle would come, the inner ankle would, or the inner foot would start to lift up. Oh no, where did you go, camera? Everything's dying on me. Okay, but instead, can you evert the foot, press the big toe into the ground, and now, because the shin is off on a diagonal, that's a big eversion of the ankle, and a lot of people struggle to get the big toe and big toe mound down here because of that. I'm keeping the pinky toe lifted now just to really focus on eversion of the ankle. Wagging the tail straight back will increase the stretch, depending if that's your goal or not. All right. Let's just come into Prasarita Padottanasana. So align your feet so both feet are on one line. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale and pause. Actually, here's another good opportunity for us. We're in inversion of the ankle currently. So a lot of people will get some strain along the outer ankle here, especially if you've been practicing for a while. In the beginning, probably not, unless you've sprained your ankles. But if you've been practicing for a while, eventually your ankle slides or your shin slides out, but your foot is stuck on a sticky mat, and that causes strain in the outer ligaments. So one thing you can do is, yes, press your pinky toes into the ground, but drag the outer edges of your feet toward the midline of your body. So drag your shins toward each other. And that should help draw the shins back in instead of sliding outward. That'll help draw the shins back in. There's another thing you could do, and that is to try to evert the ankles without actually everting. So for a moment, you could evert the ankles. You can pick up the outer edge of the feet like this, okay? But then you want to keep those muscles active while the pinky toe slowly reaches to the ground. So it's like you're trying to pull the outer edges of your feet up while the pinky toe is on the ground, and that will get the everting muscles, the fibularis, active. And that would stop that strain in the ankle if anyone's experiencing that. Okay, bend the elbows and bow. It's a good little tip for those of you that are yoga teachers, because a lot of people will talk about pressing the outer edges of the feet on the ground, but that will sometimes cause a lot of strain for other people. All right. Come to the front of the mat. Step forward, half lift. Exhale, bow forward. Let's do the other side. Inhale, halfway lift. Right foot steps back. Okay. Press down, hands on the front thigh. Back leg strong, and press through your front heel. You see my hips lift up. Everything gets lighter and stronger. Left sit bone tucks slightly. Big toe and pinky toe of the front foot are pressing down, but if you don't press through the front heel, you're gonna put too much weight in the front of the foot, causing the ankle to do all of the balance. We want the ankle to be doing the micro balancing, and the hips here to be really what's focused on the stability. So your left buttocks presses down through the heel. That's going to give the major part of the stability, because if your hips are, and the rest of your hips are controlling the torso and everything else. So you want that to be as still as possible, and the ankle side to side movement just adjusting the micro articulation. So press through your left heel so your buttocks is fully firmed up. Take your right tricep across, left palm on top. I suggest if you're new to balancing in postures like this, that you look down at the ground and pick one point, not your foot, but something that's stable, something that's not moving, and stay there and breathe. You might start to turn your gaze, your eyes, to another point off to the side. What happens for most people when they do that is there's a big wiggle wobble, right? Your feet start going crazy. Pull your feet toward each other and focus on the big toe and big toe mound pressing down. Okay, keeping that. Also pinky toe, it's not just the big toe. Keeping that, feet pulling toward each other. Breathing. Again, short term, it might make it harder to balance because you're focusing on learning how to activate these muscles. Long term, these muscles will get quicker and quicker at activating, and you will get better at balance. Okay, inhale to unwind. Hands to the inside. Back heel comes down. Lift the chest. Do a little hip opener as we bend the elbows and bow. I think about my back foot here as well. Big toe, pinky toe pressing to the ground, and I drag a little bit, shortening the back inner arch. Same with the front. Okay, coming on up. We're going to switch the crossing of the ankles. So left foot to the right, right foot to the left. Wag the tail straight back. And again, you're going to notice that the front foot will tend to invert here. See if you can evert it. Press the big toe all the way into the ground. Okay, so it's everted now because the shin is on a diagonal and the foot is fully on the ground. Okay, you can see the outer ankle is short if you look at that. Enjoy your breath. Enjoy a little bit of passive stretching for a moment. All right. We'll just do Prasarita Padottanasana again here. Maybe we'll go from this side here. You can see my ankle is pretty good there. Okay, watch how I'm going to articulate. Maybe you can see, I'm not sure if the lighting, if you can see the muscle definition in the outer shin. Watch. Okay, kind of. Not so great from that angle. And then you try to reach the pinky toe to the ground while I'm everting the ankle. I'm still trying to reach the pinky toe to the ground. So the ankle is inverted, but I'm trying to evert muscularly, trying to activate the tibialis anterior. And pulling the feet toward each other is going to stop the sliding of the shin bones so you don't ruin the ankle joint. Okay, bow forward. All right. Pivot. Let's come to the front of the mat, halfway lift. Step your left foot back. Straighten through the left leg. I'm going to ask if you can now this time. This is more of an advanced option. You could keep the front of the foot on the ground, or you can try to flex the left foot. This is going to be much harder with balance, okay? So either the front of the foot on the ground, especially if you're more new to yoga, you want to keep the front of the foot down, big toe, pinky toe down. Some of you, especially if you have the flexibility to do so, you can keep the front of the foot lifted, so dorsiflex. But we're going to turn, twist the torso, and take the right hand to the sky. Modified variation of revolved triangle, okay? Again, it's a lot more challenging to lift the front of the foot up. Much more accessible. Many of you are going to appreciate the front of the foot down, especially if your heel hurts from flexing the foot, too much pressure in the heel, then you want to just keep it down, okay? Let's do 2 more breaths. And release. Now while we switch sides, I just want to acknowledge one thing here. When a lot of you are going to flex your foot, I can just already know that your foot's probably going to invert like this. It's probably doing something like this instead of everting like this, okay? So just think about playing into the weaknesses and making them your strengths. Switch sides. So if you know your foot's going to invert, or if you see that it's inverting, do the opposite, okay? So evert the ankle. Again, option to place the foot firmly on the ground, or option to flex the foot. We're going to take a revolved modification of straight leg lunge. Okay, and release. Bend the knees, step forward. Exhale, bow. Place the hands on the hips and rise up to stand. All right, let me just get this one camera back. All right, so getting back to balancing on one foot, I'm going to take the left knee up towards the chest and take the right hand to the outer edge of the right foot. Now, if you can't grab the outer edge of the right foot, wrap a strap, a belt, or something around your foot that you can hold on to, okay? Otherwise, grab the outer edge of the foot and left hand to the hip. Now, you're going to see as soon as I grab this foot, the hips are going to go forward. We're going to move the hips back. Everybody move your hips back and pull your right shoulder up towards your ear. Keeping that, start to stretch the left leg forward, okay? Your standing leg, weight is a little back in the heel. Big toe and pinky toe are pressing down. Focus on that. Some of you are going to stay right here looking forward. To challenge your balance, you'll look to the side. Big toe and pinky toe stay firm into the mat of the standing foot. Optionally, Left hand goes back, and maybe the gaze, the eyes go back. Pick something to look at, and now, don't worry if you fall a number of times, but focus on stabilizing the ankle by pressing big toe and pinky toe down. Tune into the sensations of the wibble wobble and see if you can slow it down by keeping both big toe and pinky toe firm into the ground. Hand to the hip. Always coming out as slow as you can. The balance doesn't stop, especially when you're tired. You come out really slow. That's the biggest challenge when you're, it's when most of us fall, when we're not in a balance like that, when we're just coming out like, then the whole body falls apart. The real training is in that ending point when you're tired, when you're mentally exhausted, when you're physically exhausted, that you want to just come out and end it, right? That's the point where you're going to learn the most. Okay, so let's switch sides. So the weight is back into the heel. That's going to get your glute muscles fired up. Again, that's going to help recruit the hips. Right knee comes up, left hand grabs outer foot or strap around the foot, belt, anything to grab to kind of make connection. Left shoulder goes up and back. The best of your ability, your right leg goes forward. And I know without even looking that my hips are leaning forward. So I lean my hips back a little bit to stay in the left heel. Okay, lean the hips back. That's going to help you out a lot. Your right leg will lower down more, so it'll look like you're less flexible. That's just because your pelvis is tipped down more. It's not because you've changed anything in the front leg. Lift your chest up. Big toe and pinky toe. Find a point to look at either forward, to the side, back behind you perhaps. And just continue to breathe and try to stay in the sensation of the big toe, pinky toe, and heel. Start to unwind. Remember, it's slow on the way out. Fight for it. Make sure you stabilize. Those are the points that you really want to control. All right. Well done, everybody. Hope you're doing well. We're going to take a little cool down, brief. Come to down dog. Place the right shin across the mat, any amount. And do your best to watch my front ankle. You're going to try to lift your ankle up like this. Evert the foot. So press the pinky toe and pinky toe mound into the ground. Even the big toe presses forward. You see how I can slide a hand under the ankle? Rather than inverting and turning the sole of the foot up, maybe this would probably be a better angle, perhaps. You see how I'm inverting right now. The sole of the foot's turned up, the outer ankle is pressing down. Now I am everting. Okay, so do your best to evert the ankle. Now rotate the pelvis towards the ground. Optionally bow off to the left or bow forward, whichever you prefer. Just try to keep everting the front ankle. This is one of the best poses to develop the strength of the fibularis muscles in, because the temptation for the body to just drape the ankle right into the ground is so strong. But if you train your everting muscles here, your fibularis muscles, to lift the outer ankle up in this position against the tension of your hips, you will develop so much strength in the outer ankles. And you'll also develop like a pattern of reactivity where the everting muscles will want to activate. And that's where balance really happens, when you don't have to think about it, but the muscles just want to activate. That's stability. Involuntary activation, they'll do it on their own for you. Balance is not something you want to be, you don't want it to have to be a conscious thing. It's great if it is, but you don't want it to have to be. You want it to be an unconscious, reactive behavior that the body does without you having to think about it. Because if you have to think about it, you've already fallen. Okay, come on up. It's kind of, the opposite of a lot of yogic teachings. Switch sides. With yogic teachings, we don't want to be reactive in the mind, right? We're always trying to become less reactive, more contemplative, more introspective and deliberate with our actions and our words and our thoughts and so on. But with balance of the body, you've got to be reactive physically, okay? Slide your hand underneath. Train deliberately to strengthen the outer shin muscles, okay? Of course, it takes a lot of deliberate action, intentional activation of muscles in order for them to be the go-to turn-on muscles. So find your outer shin muscles here, get them active, so you evert the ankle. I'm plantar flexed and everted. This is what we did in the beginning. You plantar flexed and everted. It's very hard. Plantar flex is pointing. Everting is lifting the outer ankle. You might see that my toes are kind of flexed, especially the 3 middle toes. They're extended, I should say. The big toe is trying to reach. Okay, you can bow forward, bow to the side, whichever you prefer. Outer ankle lifted. Okay. Any way you'd like, you're going to find your way onto your back for happy baby pose, or just hug your knees into your chest. One thing I like to do is happy baby with feet everted. Okay, that means the outer edges of the feet pulled down and the toes will wind up facing out significantly. If you invert, the toes will face kind of look more parallel. Evert, your toes will face out. Okay, learn how to activate those outer shin muscles. But I'm also dorsiflexing, learning how to activate the shin tibialis anterior muscle that we were working on in the beginning of the class. Okay. And release to any variation of Shavasana that you wish. Traditionally, just in case you're newer to the practice, Shavasana would look like this, just palms face up, feet splay out to the sides, allowing your body to rest into the earth.
us back to the breath. Deepen your inhales. Lengthen your exhales. Awaken the fingers and toes. Stretch the arms. Roll to your right side. Come up to a seated position. Place the palms at heart center. And take a moment to acknowledge how you feel from the buttock muscles down through the ankles, shin muscles that is, down through the feet. Thank you all for your dedication to your practice and your development within your body. It's been a pleasure to share this practice with you, and I look forward to sharing more with you soon. Bowing inward. Namaste. All right, everybody. If you have questions for me regarding your practice, like am I everting, am I inverting the ankles properly, I can't do this, or can't get the big toe, pinky toe, you can always film yourself in a posture and post it on the Facebook group. And I'm happy to acknowledge and observe and give any sort of feedback on your practice. So if you haven't joined the Facebook group and you're watching this video, just scroll up towards the top of the page. You'll see there's a link for the Facebook group to join. If you have something specific, it would be great, like a 2-3 minute clip or whatever, or 1 minute clip of you just trying to articulate your ankles or keep your ankle bones. If there's something that challenged you, just post that, and I'm happy to observe. But one of the rules of the Facebook group that I like is that I really would only like to give you feedback if you ask for it. That way, if you're posting and not asking for feedback, my assumption and our assumption as a group is that we're just sharing our practice with one another to be celebrated, to acknowledge, to celebrate that we're practicing together, that we are practicing regularly, and happy to have that as well. We don't have to always give and receive feedback all the time. But if you're looking for it, then make sure you post that so that I and everybody else know. All right, so look forward to seeing any videos that you might post there. And some of you asked if you can post any clips on Instagram. You're always welcome to post clips on Instagram. That's totally fine. If your account isn't private, then I will repost them. If it is private, I can't repost them, just so you're aware. Okay. Troy said, "Hey Troy, welcome in. Thank you, Matt. I don't get to attend live much. That was nice. Awesome, Troy. Nice to have you here live. Hey Debbie, thank you for all the knowledge. Lots of homework to do. Lots of practice indeed. Let's see if there's any. If you have any questions for me now, please throw them up in the chat. Otherwise, just happy to say good day, goodbye, and see you all soon. Lenore says this was so great and informative. I find it helpful to isometrically invert and evert the foot while balancing. Alternate back and forth. That helps me to find the big toe and the pinky toe activation. Alyssa says, thank you, Matt. Really enjoying your classes. What's the name of the one-legged balancing pose? AI-lean. The one-legged balancing pose, I assume that you're talking about the one that we did today. So I believe that is a variation of Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana. Maybe it's like a variation C or D. Let me just see if I can find it for you. I would probably call it revolved standing hand to foot. That's going to be my... Yeah, standing revolved hand to foot pose. Parivrtta Utthita Hasta Padang. Standing revolved hand to foot pose. Parivrtta Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana. Yeah, okay, so Parivrtta means revolved, by the way, and Utthita Hasta hand. Padangusthasana is basically hand to foot pose. Padangusthasana. Okay, so let's just, what did I miss here? Kristen, thank you so much. Have a great day. Michaela says, fantastic. Thanks so much. Thanks, Michaela. Patty says, great class. Thank Patty. Simona says, thank you, Matt. Great class. Thank you, Simona. Dina says, great class. Thank you, Dina. Sineb says, thank you, Matt. Very interesting class again. Thank you, Sineb. Little question. When I pull my toes towards my heel, I feel like I have less control over pressing the big toe mound. Is it normal? Does it mean that I need to work more on pressing the toe mound? Yes. So Zeneb, that's actually accurate. So when you pull your toes towards your shin, it's going to activate the front of the shin, or let's say anterior, the front chain. It's always going to be harder if you activate the front to also activate something in the back. That's muscle coordination. Well, I guess in actuality, it's going to be nervous system coordination. So your nervous system has to train to activate contrasting muscle groups. So when you lift the 3 middle toes up, that's the extensors of the toes. When you press the big toe and pinky toe down, that's the flexors of the toes. It's also, when you lift the 3 middle toes up, it's triggering dorsiflexion of the ankle. And when you press the big toe and pinky toe, that's triggering plantar flexion of the ankle. So we're actually, everything I've asked you to do is contrasting muscle engagements. It is always going to be harder to do contrasting muscle engagements than it is to do one or the other. Most of us have trained one or the other. For example, when you walk, you step 1 foot forward, right? That's going to be an activation of the hip flexors and a relaxation of the buttocks. When the leg strokes backwards, that's an activation of the buttocks and a relaxation of the hip flexors. Movement typically requires activation of one side and relaxation, or at least less activation, of the opposite side. So that one side wins, movement happens. Stability, on the other hand, is co-activation of opposing muscle groups, and stability is typically harder than mobility for most human beings. Okay, hope that clarifies that. Because it's coordinated muscle activations at the same time. Sharon says, thank you, and thanks for mentioning that it starts wobbling more at the beginning. Yes, no problem. And it's not like a quick fix. It's a long-term, those muscles and your nervous system will take time in developing that patterning until it becomes reactive. Carla says, the pinky toe is still a challenge, but I'll get to it. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Carla. Zineb says, Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana C. Yep, that's and Parivrtta Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana. Yep, perfect. Alyssa says thank you. All right, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Have a beautiful day, and I'm gonna eat lunch now. So or breakfast for me, really, basically. Whatever it is for you, enjoy your evening, enjoy your morning, your day, and see you on the next one where we'll get back to hands. Oh, one more thing here. Sabui says, great class, thank you. The muscles, sorry, I thought that was Spanish for a second. The muscles above the ankles were sore from practicing all the tips in the last 2 days, but now feel good. Padangustasana felt amazing. 0 pain in the ankles. Great. Yeah, I'm trying to bounce back and forth here so that we give muscle recovery time, especially with these muscles in the wrist and muscles of the ankles there. Need a little more recovery because they're not used to being trained in this way for most people. All right, so hopefully that serves you well. Bye, everybody. Have a great day.